CIPP Europe exam. We start with some general comments about the exam. We then discuss various study methods. We also provide additional tips and tricks and point you to good study materials. Finally, we will discuss a shortcut to passing the exam. That way you can save a lot of time and money. The exam consists of 90 multiple-choice questions. You get 2.5 hours for this. There are two types of questions. Normal questions. These are short questions where you have to choose from one of the four answers. Most of these questions can be answered correctly if you learn well. Some questions are downright easy, but many questions are very detailed. To score well, you must know the curriculum to a high level of detail. Scenario questions. Here you get a long, screen-filling scenario. Then 4 to 5 questions are asked about this scenario. A large part of the text is irrelevant for answering the questions asked. For example, you get a question about a data breach, while in the text you also read about rights of data subjects, employment relationships, and direct marketing. That can be confusing. The exam is seen as a tricky exam, but with good preparation, you will pass. A good starting point is the official examination blueprint of the IAPP. You can see that here. Here you can see what each part of the exam consists of. You can also see how many questions are asked at a minimum and at most about a certain subject. Not all components weigh equally well in the exam. What stands out? Part 2 is by far the most important part. This part concerns the GDPR, and 40 to 66 questions are asked about it. Out of a total of 90, this is therefore between 44% and 73%. After that, Part 3 counts the most. 12 to 25 questions are asked about this part. Part 1 counts the least. This part is about the origin and history of European data protection, the EU institutions, and legislation. As you can see, only 4 to 10 questions are asked about this. It's smart to focus your preparation especially on Part 2, and then on Part 3, and pay the least attention to Part 1. Now that the structure and weighing of the exam is clear, we will discuss the ways in which you can prepare. You have roughly 2 options. Option 1. Read and study the entire textbook. The official textbook of the course is the European Data Protection Book by Eduardo Usteran, 2nd edition. It has around 360 pages and can be ordered in the IAPP webshop. You can order a printed version or a digital version. Make notes on the book or, even better, summarize the book. This is guaranteed to work, but it does cost you a lot of time. Would you prefer a little more introduction first? Then you can use some free videos on the internet. The Field Fisher video offers a good introduction to the GDPR. This takes about an hour and gives you a nice overview of the GDPR. The link is in the description below. Or, option 2, go through the GDPR yourself. For some more context, you can read the introductory recitals first. If you study the law well, you are well prepared for the most important part of the exam. You do not get the answers to questions from Parts 1 and 3 from the GDPR. To learn Parts 1, Introduction History, and in particular Part 3, Compliance with European Data Protection Law and Regulation, you will need a good outline or summary. These can be found on the internet. You can also use the textbook for this. When you have finished your preparation, take the IAPP practice exam. This is really recommended. The practice exam consists of only 30 questions, but they give a good idea of the method of asking questions. In addition to the discussed preparation, you can do some other things. You can use flashcards. With this, you quickly learn the most important concepts. Many free variants can be found on the internet. You can read the free ebook about data protection made available by the EU. You can register with different LinkedIn or Facebook study groups to ask questions or obtain additional study material. Also know that you can reschedule the exam up to 2 days in advance. If you didn't have enough time to learn properly, just reschedule the exam. You should now have a good idea of how you can best prepare. You may be wondering where you can find extra practice questions, a good summary, and good videos. And which combination is useful in this? You need to look no further. With the online training from CIPPtraining.com, you have it all. What does the online training look like? You go through the blueprint topics one by one. You will first see a short introduction video explaining the most important concepts. Then you will learn more in short accompanying text and the summary of the entire book. At the end of each chapter, you will receive a few test questions to see if you have understood. If you have completed the entire course, a number of unique scenario questions will follow. With this online training, you can fully prepare for the exam in only 2 days. This is really the best way to prepare. Go to CIPPtraining.com and start immediately.